Hey everybody, and welcome back to some more Frostpunk. We're on day 13, it's 2:12 p.m, 10 degrees Celsius, and things got a little bit out of hand at the end of the last episode, because we had a collapse of one of the shafts inside of the generator shaft structure, and then despite the fact that we chose the workers over productivity, we chose to save the workers and lose some of our progress, but despite that, they still went on strike. We still had to appease them by promising to pass the safety procedures law, and then at the very end of the last episode, we were given the option of whether we wanted the workers or the engineers to oversee construction going forward. I chose the engineers because the workers, despite me having saved them, were still striking and still complaining. In hindsight, you know, their working conditions were dangerous and I think at times also deadly, but what's done is done. We now have workers who are in charge of labor, and thus we did pass the Factory Inspectorate law, which now gives us a new building, the Factory Inspectorate. Factory Inspectorates will improve safety of up to 3 of our most dangerous workplaces, which we do not have to build within the next 2 days, but that seems like a no-brainer. If we can build a building that is going to increase or decrease danger, increase the likelihood of danger not taking place, then I'm all for it. Now, it is a pretty massive building, and we are very quickly running out of space where we can put down a building without it destroying any of our natural resources, most commonly trees. Now, at the moment, we do, of course, have a constant supply of wood coming in from England. I don't know if that's going to change going forward, but really right now we don't have much of a choice. What I could do is I could set up like a sawmill and start actually tearing down these trees to make room for new buildings. The trouble with that is that right now we have a massive worker shortage. Despite having 136 people available, every single person is currently employed in some form or another. And so it might not be a terrible idea actually to request some more workers. We do now have a logistical limit of 73, and so we can get 36 workers sent to us. And so you know what, sure, let's do that. That is going to take a whole day to get to us. And also for the time being, I think I am just going to have to bite the bullet and just put this down in a location that is going to destroy some trees. We might come to regret that in the long run. I don't know if we can get like the wall drills like we could get before. Sawmills, steam sawmills. We can get a charcoal kiln. The fact that there's no wall drill and no way to get wood outside of either requesting it or the sawmill makes me think that maybe, hopefully, we'll continue to get resources from England until the construction is done, but knowing Frostpunk, that's almost certainly not going to be the case. Also, I did notice that our hunters are currently waiting around. So here it says hunting grounds. We hunted animals until they stopped coming to the watering place. And so presumably now we have to relocate to a new location to continue to get food for our city. Now, we've got nesting place over on the left, and then we have a small waterfall over on the right. And if the watering place here is anything to go by, it makes me think that water is likely where the most animals are going to be, and thus hopefully that's the place where we're going to get the most food. Now, back to the generator here. It says we're going to complete it in 8 hours. I don't know if I truly believe that. However, we are on a tight clock. We're currently on day 13, and we only have until 3 o'clock on day 16 to get this done. So we've got 3 days to finish the last 57% of this shaft structure. Now, in the generator construction overview, it does say that we're 21 hours ahead of schedule. So hopefully things are going to be okay. The shaft structure is still at work safety dangerous. Hopefully that gets resolved a little bit with the Factory Inspectorate, and also at the end of the last episode, we did begin producing the 6 structural profiles required to unlock the protective structures, which will improve safety by 1 level for 24 hours when we use it. So let's go ahead and hit play. We're a few minutes into the episode here, and we haven't actually done anything yet, but so much stuff happened at the end of the last episode. I felt we needed to pause for a second there. Now, we do also need to select our next bit of research, and I was looking between episodes kind of hoping there'd be something in generator construction that would help with safety, and there is. We have down here safety improvements, but it's not until level 3, mechanized calculators. And so I think for the time being, I'm probably going to go with a reloading station. This allows us to build a reloading station, which will gather resources piling up at the docks. People working here gather resources piling up at the docks and transfer them to stockpiles. So this, to me, sounds like a gathering post. It sounds like just it would replace the gathering posts that we already have, because it's going to take the resources piling up at the docks and move them into our stockpiles. I'm hoping that the reloading station is better at doing it than the gathering posts are, and thus we can hopefully start to kind of move all of this wood and steel off of the docks and into our storage faster than we're doing it right now. Now, unfortunately, we are a few steel away from actually being able to do that. And at the end of the last episode, we did put basically all of our workforce onto making this shaft structure. And so we don't really have as many people as is necessary on steel right now. But as soon as we get the 10 steel required, I'm going to go ahead and unlock that. It does require a steam core, but once again, we do have steam cores available, and if needs be, we can request more steam cores from England as well. So hopefully, not really something we have to worry about. One of our people has died, which is not ideal, but it does remind me that we built a morgue, and as of yet, we have not actually prepared a body to go back to England. We signed the law, which I think was repatriation of dead bodies, and so I'm fairly certain that what we're supposed to do here is allocate a little bit of wood to prepare the bodies of those who have died so they can be sent back to England, and hopefully that will lower discontent and maybe raise motivation. I'm not too sure. So let's go ahead and employ some engineers at our factory inspectorate. Motivation rises, fantastic. We are still getting that 30% efficiency boost due to the fact that we have high motivation, and our shaft structure is deadly, which is probably why our workers are dropping like flies. How are we doing on these profiles? We have half of them done, but that's not really too helpful at the moment. Why are you deadly? Toxic gases, because the ventilation plant is not online, but that's fine because nobody's working down here right now. Yeah, no one works here at 9 p.m. I don't know how well this works. Passive effect, it improves safety for up to 3 workplaces with the lowest base safety level. There are 3 like dots here. I also don't know if we're supposed to have like more engineers on here. We can put up to 10 engineers here. I'm not too sure if having more engineers is going to make things more safe, or if it's like the public house where just having one person gets the job done and fulfills the requirement of the building doing its job. Either way, hopefully the toxicity level comes down tomorrow, because if that falls, then just the overall danger level of the shaft structure should also fall. Our hunters have reached the small waterfall. There are fish jumping in the waterfall, not many, but enough for a meal for the team. Perhaps we'll find more upstream. Okay, so not enough to actually feed our entire city. We will move on. So we have the rock arch or the rapids. Now, I'm kind of cautious about moving so far away from our construction site, because the further we move away from the construction site, the longer it's going to take them to bring food back. But at the same time, that kind of makes me feel like this is going to be the location that has the food, if any of those two do. We're only 14 hours away from receiving our next lot of workers. We do also need to make sure that we pass safety procedures as soon as is humanly possible. That is going to, I think, reduce productivity, but we should still be above 100% with the boost from motivation. And then after that, we could take a look at possibly passing some more laws after that. Stuff like internal promotion gives us a new ability. Internal promotion, factory inspectorate, promotes 5 workers to engineers. Motivation will rise slightly. So we can begin actually turning our workers into engineers. That is an interesting mechanic. I'm not too sure if we want to do that just yet. Like right now we do have a bit of a shortage of engineers. We could do with more, especially if we need them on the factory inspectorate, but we also have a shortage of regular workers. And right now, if we're going to hit this deadline, those are the guys that we really need more than anything, right? Harbingers of Doom. People across the whole camp leap to their feet, awakened by the sound of angry screeches. Dozens of huge birds are circling over the construction site. The owls are back, moan terrified workers. It's a sign. The heavens warn us. We shouldn't be here. We're doomed. After a while, the birds disappear above the bay, leaving our people severely shaken. Motivation will fall even more each morning. Gosh dang owls. I would say the word, but YouTube doesn't like it when I say the word, so we're going with gosh dang owls for the time being. Okay, so that's just a negative debuff to our motivation. So each morning we're going to lose more motivation than we were losing previously. That means that if we want to keep our motivation high, we need to maybe up it even more. I'm hoping that right now our positives are still outweighing the morning loss, but I'm not sure. Yeah, we definitely could do with more engineers. The fact that we only have 1 on the medical post as well is not ideal. I could take more off the workshops, but of course the more that we take off the workshops, then the slower the research gets, and slowing everything down is also not ideal. Maybe I should have requested a few from the telegraph station earlier on. Nevertheless, how long until this shaft structure is complete? 7 hours. In theory, this should be done by the end of today. Now, thankfully, the workplace safety is now at harmful, which is never a sentence I thought I would say, but previously we were on deadly and dangerous, so harmful is definitely a step up there. And again, hopefully by the end of the day, we'll be able to activate the structural profiles and actually make it, you know, whatever the next tier up is, unhealthy. Not quite safe, but a little unhealthy. Rock Arch. This strangely symmetrical rock formation looks like something built by human hand, but it's of completely natural origin. Okay. There's nothing more we can do here. Closed Tavern or the Rapids. We're getting real far away from our city here. How are we doing on food? We're doing okay. Are we still bringing food in? I don't think we are, right? I think we're not getting any more new food due to the fact that our foragers are kind of out and about now. And so if these guys are going to keep, you know, having to go further afield to get food, it probably makes a lot of sense for our next research unlock to be the fishing harbor and to start getting food locally, as opposed to hoping that our foragers find food and then manage to bring it back, you know, fast enough to feed the new influx of workers that we keep bringing in. And so fishing is probably what we'll work on next. This should be done by the end of the workday, because they do work for 8 hours. There's only 4 hours left, so I think we're pretty much there. At which point, I'm fairly certain that we are going to need the machine shop, because we're going to have to start producing the steam exchangers, I think, or the steel components to build the next part of the generator. That's my assumption, at least. We have just unlocked the reloading stations. Also, let's do food. Do we have enough steel for the fish harbor? We do indeed. Let's begin there. Then over here, resources. So we have the reloading station. Does require 10 steel, which of course, as always, we do not have. We could take a few people off of wood, which I think I will do. I'll put a few people on steel for now, because although we do need a lot of wood, we also need a lot of steel. People are still dying, which is not great, but we have just received a new influx of people, so we'll put 3 of them directly on the shaft, and then we'll also begin applying everybody else to all of the gathering posts so we can keep bringing in our resources. And there it is, milestone 1 achieved. Next milestone is to build the foundations. Before laying the foundations, which will support the massive bulk of the generator, you have to send the workers deep below ground level and install the powerful tower pumps there. Okay, I understand. Let's pause. So now, I'm assuming we've unlocked a new piece. We have pressure valves. Huge valves built of high-quality steel will direct the flow of water and superheat the steam to keep the pressure within the design limits, protecting the generator against heat surges in the source. And then here we have tower pumps, a system of powerful pumps which will force water into the bowels of the earth to turn it into superheated steam. And for that we need 10 steam exchangers, of which we currently have 0. So was the steam exchanger what we make with the machine shop? It was indeed. Allows us to build a machine shop to produce steam exchangers. Okay, so we need to build a machine shop, which right now I don't think we have. And we also don't have the ability to do it either. And on top of that, it requires steam cores. So right now we could request 1 steam core and 1 engineer. And I think I'm going to do it. I know we can get more if we wait longer. But right now I want to use one of our steam cores on building a reloading station, if possible. And then on top of that, we also need to build this the steam core as well. Now, we do have a lot more people on gathering now. And we are gathering not much steel per hour. This one's gathering 4.3, and then this one over here is gathering... It was gathering 0.4, but it is on the increase there, so hopefully we are getting more steel, but there's the end of the work day. We could really do with extended shifts to keep them working longer because we have nowhere near enough steel. What's going on over here? News from London, abandoned site. Congratulations on completing your first milestone on schedule. Meanwhile, after funding cuts and a catastrophic accident at Site 107, the project was scrapped and the remaining workers scheduled for evacuation. If you can spare the men, order foragers to search these coordinates and recover whatever materials you can. We will have far from enough generators to evacuate everybody. Should the unthinkable happen, your task is now even more important. We shall double our efforts. I don't know if we can quite double our efforts, but there's the fishing harbor. We'll look at relocating our foragers once they get to their new destination in 36 minutes here. Let's pause. I'm thinking it might be worth building one of these reloading stations. It does use our steel and it does use a steam core, but if it allows us to bring steel in faster than we're doing now, I think that's a positive. So I'm going to build that. This is now useless. It's inoperative, so we'll deconstruct both of these. We might have to build a path out to the reloading station, but we'll figure that out in just a second. Hopefully we bring in more than we were bringing in before. Research-wise, I would love to do drafting machines, but again, we need so much more steel that as of yet we don't have, and I would prefer to not use our current 10 steel on something we don't really need, like more foragers or a medical post upgrade. We probably do need the medical post upgrade, but, you know, we have to prioritize at some point, right? Closed tavern. The tavern looks deserted. The signboard over the door says Polestar.
L'étoile polaire.
I don't know how you pronounce that. The second name is in French. You don't say. And there are food rations here. Let's explore. Good old times. The tavern isn't abandoned after all. A rotund man is bustling about, hefting crates and trunks on a sledge. He introduces himself as the owner of this fine establishment. While the French were around, I had patrons all day long. Workers curing hangovers with breakfast, engineers drinking buckets of coffee over their maps and blueprints, and in the evenings, all together working hard on the next hangover. All of them chatting in bloody French. Now it's over. Take whatever you need. I'm leaving for good. Site discovered railroad track. So we're getting 76 food, which is nice. This over here, I assume, is the, that's nature sculpture. Is that the new location we've been told to go to? I think it is, right? Because this is railroad tracks. We've just found that on our own. We already had the rapids. So this must be the site where we can maybe find new generator parts, but it's so far away. It's 2 days and 3 hours away, whereas the railroad tracks are only 9 hours away. So I'll send them here. We might want to do the research for a second foragers team and kind of head off in this direction. For now, though, let's focus in on home, shall we? How difficult is it for us to build a fishing harbor? The answer is not too difficult. What's it require? 40 wood and 10 steel. This is one of those times where I think that 10 steel is probably justifiable. And I'm probably for now going to build it over here, just because we don't have to destroy any trees to get over here. Now, I don't know quite how we're going to get a path over there. Do we have to go? I don't even know if we need a path for this. I'll let them build it, and then we'll see what happens. If it needs a path, we can build a path. If it doesn't need a path, then maybe we'll just leave it. So over here, we have the reloading station, which I will fill with people. And as of tomorrow morning, we'll hopefully see a big increase in the amount of steel that's being pulled off of the dock there. And then if that's true and it is pulling off more steel than it otherwise would, we'll probably do the same thing for the wood dock as well. So now we have a good amount of time. We have got 11 days before we have to have built the next part of the generator, and we're currently 2 days ahead of schedule. Now, we do have 28 homeless people, and thankfully enough wood to house them. So back over here, we no longer have the ability to get everybody in the radius of the church and the hothouse. In hindsight, we probably should have moved this a bit further back, because you'll notice there is some of the churches and hothouses radius that's inaccessible. But for now, I think we'll just do 1, 2, and 3, like that. It's not within the radius of the hothouse. That does mean they're ever so slightly more likely to become sick, but they are still within the range of the church, and so hopefully we'll get that little motivation boost, which hopefully will keep our motivation nice and high going forward. Still can't do any research because we don't have enough steel, and we're not going to get any more steel until the morning comes, at which point our first bits of steel, of course, are going to go on the machine shop, so that hopefully we can start to make these steam exchanges. How are our foragers doing out and about here? Railroad track. The track runs from one horizon to the other. It's enormous. The rails are almost knee-high and run on very wide sleepers. Move on. Nothing there, eh? So now we have 3 graves and Trapper's cabin. In hindsight, if we were looking for food, we probably should have headed in the direction that looks like it's not covered in ice. But I guess for now, we've kind of committed to going this way. So I'm going to head up to the Trapper's cabin here. 10 hours away. Actually, let's go here because we can go to the 3 graves, then up to the Trapper's cabin afterwards. 10 hours from our next steam core, which is going to be useful. We've only got 1 left, and also 1 solitary engineer as well. All right, let's speed up here. Let's get to the morning. How good is this? So this is pulling in 6.5 steel per hour. Now, compared to our wood, which we're getting, 17 steel per hour from these 2 gathering posts combined, that's not crazy high. But then again, it is using significantly fewer workers than the 2 gathering posts did combined. And I think it's getting about a similar amount. I think we were getting close to 6.5 steel per hour previously. So that's probably not terrible. Is there a way to make that better? We can get a steam reloading station and then an advanced reloading station later on down the line, which is probably a good investment. For now, though, generator, profile structure. Oh, that's not what we need. We need the machine shop, which needs 60 steel. Gosh dang it. Over here, I guess we'll start scheduling some more of these structure profiles. I don't know if we need them just yet, but we might need them fairly soon when the generator building is up and running again. Law-wise, oh, there's so much stuff happening. I saw a little bubble pop up. Law-wise, we need to pass safety procedures. That's like a requirement, so we'll do that. Motivation-wise is fantastic. We'll get to the foragers in just a second. Factory Inspectorate bonus. An engineer from the Factory Inspectorate comes to talk to you. I have great news, boss. To celebrate the opening of our inspectorate, the company sent us a shipment of fine tobacco. It's a rare delight in these times. Wouldn't it be nice to share it with the workers? Great idea. Strike rise will fall for 2 days, or keep it for the engineers. Efficiency will rise by 10% for 2 days. Now, I think our strike chance is actually quite low at the moment. So there's no real reason, I don't think, to give it to the workers at all. But you know what? They've worked hard. We'll share it with everybody. You know, they got things done ahead of time. I'm happy to share it. Although Walter still not happy. Apparently it tastes funny. All right, hopefully we have enough steel. Oh, of course, my foragers. Let's go check these guys out. 3 graves. Nothing here. So now we have this outpost, the name of which I cannot pronounce, the storehouse, or the trapped cabin. Let's head on up to the storehouse. Let's head as far north into the icy wasteland as we possibly can. That seems sensible, right? We do also have an abundance of workers now, so we can start, you know, putting workers kind of all over the place. We are out of coal, which is not ideal. Let's put down another dock and request coal. Yeah, we can request coal. At that point, we have one of each docks, which I guess makes sense. We have one for fishing. We should put people over there to start getting fish. We can have one over here to bring in the coal, which will hopefully keep our hothouse going. Again, this doesn't require a path, so thankfully we don't have to get rid of any trees. We can put people on the public house just to give them something to do. We can also put more people on the coal mine, actually. That's definitely a better way of getting more coal in the short term whilst we wait for this dock to come online. Our transport of 1 engineer and 1 steam core has arrived, so let's put 1 more engineer on the medical post. And we also now have enough steel to finally put down a machine shop. So we'll throw that down there. As soon as that is built, we will, of course, assign maybe another 20 people to work on it. Safety procedures are off. Oh, I see. This is unhealthy. This is not too bad, though. We can work with that. Maybe we don't need the ventilation plant on right now. Oh, it is off. Okay, but maybe we don't need it on at all, like during the day, because, like, no one really is... I guess it might also help the profiles manufacturer and eventually the machine shop as well. So we'll assign people there. How many steam exchanges do we need to go forward here? 10. 10 steam exchanges and 10 structural profiles. So we'll schedule 1 more structural profile, and then each one of these requires 20 steel. So we need 200 steel. And unlike wood that we can get locally with a sawmill, we actually can't produce our own steel. We have to import it from England. So this other dock might actually just have to become a new steel dock. And we might have to just kind of hope that we have enough coal coming in from the coal deposit. And if we don't, then we might just have to turn off the bathhouse and hope that people can get, you know, healed in the medical post. Either way, storehouse. The store is filled with the crates used to transport steam cores, dozens of them, enough to power an entire fleet of dreadnoughts. What in the world are dreadnoughts? Most of the crates are empty. The sign over the entrance says Ministry de la Marine et des Colonies. I don't know how you pronounce any of that, and apologies if you are watching and you speak French, or are French. It's not surprising that the other nations also seek refuge in the north, but the scale of this operation is astonishing. An ancient storekeeper opens a big ledger at our site. The old man apparently took us for French engineers.
Bonjour messieurs. Voici VO des noyaux de vapeur. Veuillez signer ici. Ça devrait être suffisant pour réparer le crève-neige.
Nod and sign the papers. We get 2 steam cores, or explain the misunderstanding. We won't get any steam cores. I think that we should explain the misunderstanding. Now, I don't know if this guy's going to speak English or be able to understand. And we could get 2 free steam cores, but I have a feeling that maybe we could get more if we don't, right? Like, I have a feeling that Frostpunk maybe wants us to try and be good. I'm going to explain the misunderstanding. Honesty above all. We told the storekeeper about the mistake. For a moment, we weren't sure whether he was about to burst into anger or tears. Then he closed his ledger and muttered a single sentence before he left.
Merci messieurs. Votre honnêteté vous honore.
So we didn't get anything there. The store is empty and locked. There's nobody here and nothing left. Okay. So now we have the cabin and this site. Let's head out to the cabin. and maybe loop back around this way and then maybe out in this direction. All right, back at home, what were we working on here? Oh, of course, we were thinking about adding another dock for steel. So we only have 8 people available. That is fine. I'm going to take 2 people off of the machine shop. I know we need them on there, but I think we need people on the docks more so. And I'm going to request steel. And I also, maybe we should have taken the steam cores in hindsight, because we kind of do need them. But I think I'll also maybe spend another steam core on putting down another one of these reloading stations, if we have the resources for it, which we do. So we'll throw it down there. We'll assign another 10 people to that. And hopefully we can start bringing in even more steel. Another person died, which is not great. Let's go ahead and prepare all of these bodies for repatriation back to England. We could do with more engineers and also more steam cores. We've got a logistical limit of 33, which is only 1 steam core. So I think, again, we are going to have to wait going forward. People are dying so much. Is it dangerous around here? It's not. It's harmful. Harmful, not great, of course. We could... Let's lower efficiency, but increase safety. There we go. This workplace is now safe. It's going to take a while to get the cores that we need, and right now we don't have enough steel to get any of them. So I'm going to take even more people off here because we need to apply, 10 of those people to the reloading station as soon as that's ready to go. And once we start bringing in a larger amount of steel, then maybe we can start looking at building those. We do still have, 11 days. We've got plenty of time to begin construction. Maybe. Foragers have reached their new location. I'll deal with the foragers in a second. Factory Inspectorate Supervision. Sir, the Factory Inspectorate reports that we need to introduce constant surveillance in order to speed up work. The old methods are not good enough. We've seen enough cases of wastefulness and inefficiency to convince us that all employees would benefit from direct supervision by engineers. If you put us in charge, motivation will rise and efficiency with it. I'll think about it. Discontent will rise slightly. Or let's do it. You'll have 2 days to pass overseers. Sure, let's do it. We need to get things done fast, right? Like we're on a tight clock. What does overseers do? Overseers visit workplaces to motivate employees and enforce compliance of proper procedures. We have a new building, the Overseers Station. Overseer Station raises efficiency in nearby workplaces by 15%. New ability, Overseers Inspection, increases motivation, but also the strike risk. They raise discontent in nearby workplaces. All right, I'll sign it. Motivation rises. That's all I want. I just want the motivation to rise. We do have a good amount of steel now, though, so let's actually start scheduling a few of these steam exchanges, which are pretty slow to be made, but at the same time, we're also pretty slow at getting them in, so that's kind of all we can ask for right now. The efficiency on the reloading station, I think, is going up as people kind of get to work there. Also, foragers are at the trapper's cabin, where there is apparently food. A cozy refuge. A cast iron stove stands beside a desk and a sturdy chair. 2 books lie on the desk, On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life by Charles Darwin, M.A., and A Voyage au Centre de la Terre, a novel by Jules Verne. There's also a crate of canned food, which I guess we'll take. How are we doing food-wise back at home? We are not doing great, 78 food, although surely we're getting fish now, right? We're getting 5.9 food per hour. Let me check the economy tab. So coal-wise, we're at a perfect equilibrium. So long as we still have coal in the huge coal pile, we're going to have enough coal to fulfill our current needs. Wood and steel don't really matter too much because we're not using those actively. Food-wise, even though we have 1 fishing harbor, we're still not making enough food. We're getting 117 rations per day, but consuming 151. I'm just thinking about maybe bringing these guys back. I guess really the next stop is probably the rapids. How far away is this? 23 hours, 24 hours. I'm wondering if we should go to the rapids and then home, or kind of over here and then over here. I'm going to go this way first. They're both long, either way, and there's no more kind of locations this way. But what I don't want to do is kind of head back and then have to have like this one place that I have to come back to later, right? If we go this way and then there's loads of stuff over in this direction, I don't want to have to take the long trek back up to here later on down the line. So we'll go there for now. We also have to build 2 Overseers Stations. How expensive are the Overseers Stations? 15 wood and 5 steel. They are actually very cheap. And we can build them kind of directly behind the pre-existing buildings, which is fantastic. They will actually oversee construction. So I'll put one like maybe here as well. And we'll have a road go through the middle of those 2 buildings like that. presumably we are going to have to employ engineers there, and so it also might not be a terrible idea to look at signing the internal promotion law next, so we can start turning some of our workers into engineers. For now, though, let's schedule a third Steam exchanger. Although, is there any research? How much do we need for this? We need 25. You know what? I'm going to cancel one of those Steam exchanges. You know, I'm actually going to cancel both of them, so we get enough steel to actually begin doing drafting machines. Because right now our engineers are sitting around not doing anything. At that point, we now have more steel. We can put another one in the schedule there. Over here, these have to be engineers. They do indeed have to be engineers. Okay, I'm going to take people off of the inspectorate. I'm going to put like one person on each overseer station just to kind of activate them and complete the quest there. But we really do have a shortage of engineers, which is not ideal. We are bringing in a lot more steel now, though, with the docks, which is very good. I am contemplating building a sawmill, or multiple sawmills, and repurposing this basic dock into another steel generator. Switching to another resource will stop unloading for some time. Are you sure? Yes. I'm going to switch that to steel as well, because we can get wood locally fairly cheap. It's 10 wood per day from one sawmill. Right now, we were getting 17 wood per hour for the 10 hours that this is online. So about 170 wood per day. So if we build 2 sawmills, we'll be getting almost the same amount of wood per day that we were previously getting, but on top of even more steel. Now, of course, that does mean that we have to hire even more people to work in the sawmills, which is not ideal. It also means I have to find a place to put these freaking things, which is also not ideal. And I think for now I'll put one like here. It's not perfect because it's not covering a whole load of trees, but ideally I don't want to delete trees to put it down. So I think we'll also put one like here and then just build paths out to both of those and hope that we have enough workers to take care of it. Speaking of workers, how many more could we get? We can get 26 more. I'm still going to hold out. We also need to request more steam cores as well, but we're so light. I feel like taking the high ground earlier and being honest with the Frenchman wasn't worth it. I know that we can hold out. Our people are dying too fast. We need to request more workers. As much as I want to get more steam cores, we need workers if we're going to get the... I guess we could maybe take a few workers like off of the docks. Because I think even now, things are coming... Like, the things are being processed on the docks faster than we could take them off the docks, I think. Gosh dang it, people are dying so fast. Why are people dying? Is it that dangerous over here? It's harmful to work at the machine shop. Also, we have 20 people working on the profile manufacturer. Let's take like all of those guys off. We'll take them all off for now. We don't need any profile manufacturers. Let's hire a few more people at the machine workshop. And that gives us 21 people. I guess I'll put one more person here because then we can put 10 people on each of these sawmills. And then we'll be using everybody, hopefully quite effectively. There goes another patient. Do we need a better medical system? I mean, the answer is obviously yes. The next bit of research we should do might want to be the medical post upgrade to heal the sick faster. Although I feel like people are just dying at work. And maybe an improved medical post might not help. Have we really yet to build one steam exchanger? Fill this out. Make this faster while we're waiting for things to happen. We need more steam exchangers. House of Disease. A worried medic reports an outbreak of a venereal disease at the House of Pleasure. At least one of the employees got the clap and is spreading it. We must start mandatory medical examinations of the staff and send the infected home or at least isolate them. Cure the infected. Infected people will be treated as gravely ill. Discontent will rise. We can't deport anybody because we don't have medical repatriation. Shut down the House of Pleasure, or we can't afford it. Let's cure the ill. I'll take the rise to discontent. It's not a huge rise. And thankfully, we do still have the high motivations. That's fine. How are we doing here? Okay, let's employ 9 people at that sawmill. And then let's pull a few people off of here. And employ them over at this sawmill. So hopefully we can get more wood. Do we have steel here yet? We do. Steel is coming in. So it is faster to have 2 gathering posts. Because like here, we're bringing in 11.7 per hour. And between the 2 of these gathering posts, we're actually gathering 8.6 as opposed to the 6.5. But the 8.6 that we're getting here requires double the number of people as the 6.5. So per person, the reloading stations are more efficient. But in terms of overall steel, the gathering posts are more efficient. speaking of efficiency, I will pull like 2 workers off of these new sawmills and apply them over here because we've got a ton of steel. I did not realize quite how much steel we had. We've got 180 steel. Let's schedule the next 9 steam exchanges, and then let's pull a few people maybe off of the docks and put them on making those steam exchanges. Yeah, there we go. We'll take one off here as well and put them on there to hopefully get that going nice and fast. I didn't quite realize just how much steel we managed to gather there. Now, fishing-wise, finer mesh. Fishing nets with a finer mesh will let us catch smaller fish, raising the efficiency of our fishing harbor by 10%. I'll sign that because our fishing harbor, as we know, is currently not producing enough fish. So hopefully, with that research passed, we should see an uptick in fish being generated, and then hopefully we'll get into the green when it comes to food, because right now we're right on the edge of not having enough food, and people are going to start complaining very soon. But that is going to be a problem for future Isaac, because for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode there. Things still very much so all up in the air. I think we're doing pretty well. We are still 11 hours ahead of schedule, but we have lost time. We were 2 days ahead of schedule, now only 11 hours. Hopefully, the massive influx of steel is going to allow us to really push through the steam exchanges and get onto building that next stage of the generator. Our forages are waiting. We'll check those out next time. For now, guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more Frostpunk The Last Autumn in the future, go ahead and hit that like button. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're new here to get notified as soon as new videos go out. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.